stop to think about what stands between your computer and the complete chaos of the internet? Well, there's an invisible guardian on duty 24/7, making life or death decisions for your data every single millisecond. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this digital guardian, the firewall.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the dangers lurking out there online. Then, we'll properly meet the security guard designed to protect us. After that, we'll check out all the different kinds of firewalls, figure out how they actually make decisions, and wrap it all up by seeing why they are your absolute first line of defense.
Okay, first things first, let's set the stage. To really get why this digital guardian is so important, you have to understand what it's up against in the wild, untamed wilderness of the internet. I mean, it's a question we all have to deal with, right? Every single click, every download, every time you connect to Wi-Fi, you're opening a potential door. So how in the world do you manage all that risk? Well, the threats out there are endless, and they're always changing. You've got ransomware that can lock up all your files and demand money. There's phishing, which tries to trick you into giving away your passwords. And then you have malware, which is kind of the catch-all term for all sorts of nasty software. All this stuff is constantly banging on the door trying to get into your network. So, with all those threats out there, what do? How do we protect ourselves? Well, we hire a security guard for our network. And that guard's name is Firewall. At its very core, this is what a firewall does. Think of it like a filter or a bouncer at a club. It stands right at the border between a network you trust, like your home Wi-Fi, and one you don't, like the public internet. And it inspects every little piece of data that tries to cross. And I love this analogy. Just picture a super meticulous secretary. They don't let just anyone wander into the boss's office, right? They check their ID, see if they have an appointment, and ask what their business is. A firewall does the exact same thing for the data trying to get into your network. This simple picture shows it perfectly. Over on the left, you have the wild, unpredictable internet. On the right, your safe and trusted home network. And standing right there in the middle, like a guard at the gate, is the firewall. It is the one and only checkpoint. Nothing gets in or out without its permission. But here's the thing. Not all security guards are created equal. Some are like a friendly mall cop, while others are more like a Secret Service agent. Firewalls also come in different shapes and sizes, each with its own kind of armor and intelligence. We can pretty much break them down in two main ways. A network firewall is like having security at the main entrance to a huge office building. It protects every single person inside. A host-based firewall, on the other hand, is like a personal bodyguard assigned to just one person. And they can also be physical hardware boxes or just software running on your computer. So the oldest and most basic type is a packet filtering firewall. Think of it like a bouncer who only checks your ID at the door. It looks at where a piece of data came from and where it's going, and if you're on the list, you're in. The big problem? It has absolutely zero memory. So even if you just walked out 2 seconds ago, it treats you like a complete stranger when you try to come back in. Now this is where things get a whole lot smarter. A stateful firewall is more like a bouncer who actually remembers you. It knows that you're in the middle of a conversation. It keeps track of all the active connections, so it understands that the data packet coming back to you is an answer to a question you just asked. It gets the context, and that is a huge leap forward for security. So let's circle back to that idea of building security versus a personal bodyguard. A hardware firewall is the security at the front door. It's often built right into your internet router, and it protects every single device on your network. A software firewall, like Windows Defender, is that personal bodyguard that lives on your computer and protects only that one machine. And honestly, for the best security, you really want to have both. Today, the absolute gold standard is the Next Generation Firewall, or NGFW. These are the super intelligent guardians. They don't just check the to and from address on the envelope, they can actually look inside the envelope to see if the contents are dangerous. They also have built-in alarm systems that can actively spot and stop an attack while it's happening. All right, so we get what the firewall does, but how does it make that split-second decision to either allow or block something? Well, the secret is its rulebook. This rulebook is called an Access Control List, or ACL for short. It's just an ordered list of instructions. Permit this, deny that. You have to have a clear ACL. Otherwise, a firewall is totally useless. It's the brain of the whole operation. And the process it follows is incredibly logical and fast. A packet of data shows up. The firewall glances at its header info. Then it starts reading its rulebook from the very first rule at the top. And this is the key.
The very first rule it finds that matches that packet, it obeys. Instantly. It doesn't matter if the rule says allow or deny, the firewall stops looking and takes action. That's it. So what information is it actually checking? Well, it's mainly looking for three things: the from and to addresses, which are the IP addresses, the protocol, which is basically the language the data is speaking, and finally, the port number. The easiest way to think of a port is like a specific numbered door on a computer for a certain kind of traffic. Like door 80 is for websites and door 25 is for email. Okay, let's bring this all home. We've seen the dangers, we've met the Guardian, and we've learned how it works. Now let's just hammer home why this Digital Guardian is completely and utterly essential in today's world. The benefits are crystal clear, and they're critical. A firewall is your #1 defense against hackers trying to break in. It stops countless types of viruses and malware before they even get a chance to run on your machine. It protects your private data from getting out, and for any business, it's an absolute must-have for meeting legal and regulatory standards. This quote just nails the whole philosophy. A well-set-up firewall doesn't trust anything by default. It basically assumes that all traffic is hostile and dangerous until that traffic can prove by matching a specific allow rule that it's safe and has permission to be there. And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. In the constant battle between your safe network and the chaos of the internet, the firewall is that essential, indispensable first line of defense. It's the gatekeeper that makes our entire connected world possible. And all of this leaves us with a final, lingering thought. As hackers get smarter and cyber attacks get more sophisticated, using things like AI and automation, our digital guardians are going to have to evolve too. The next battle for our data will be fought by even smarter, more adaptive firewalls. The big question is, what will they look like?